Here's to being free, single, and searching. That was the moment the world stopped. The clinking of glasses, the soft jazz playing in the background, the flickering candlelight, all of it went numb. My wife, Ashley, stood at the head of the table, her wine glass raised, her eyes bright with something wicked, and her voice loud enough for every guest to hear. Her smile wasn't warm. It wasn't affectionate. It was the smirk of someone who just threw a grenade into a room and was waiting to see the explosion. We were at our 10-year wedding anniversary dinner. Not just a dinner, this was an event I had spent weeks planning. A private rooftop, a curated menu, every detail tailored to celebrate our decade together. My best friend Carter flew in from New York, her parents were seated next to mine, and even her college roommate showed up. I thought it would be a night to remember. Well, it was. Just not for the reasons I'd hoped. As she sat down after her toast, she handed me a small box wrapped in gold paper. I opened it, expecting a watch or cufflinks or something symbolic. Inside was a branded t-shirt. White. Bold letters. 10 years of disappointment. I felt my throat tighten. Before I could react, her mom, Linda, lifted her own glass and said, "Here's to Ashley finally living her truth." Her dad, Ron, just smiled and took a sip of his whiskey like he was proud. Everyone else went dead silent. And that's when I stood up. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, but I smiled. Calm. Controlled. Every eye turned to me. My voice didn't crack, though everything inside me was shattering. "Well," I said, lifting my glass, "since we're making announcements tonight, Ashley, since you're so excited to be single again, you might want to tell your boyfriend Marcus that the private investigator I hired has photos, videos, GPS logs." The hotel receipts were a nice touch too. Her face froze. The color drained from her cheeks like a faucet had opened. For once in 10 years, she didn't have a snappy comeback. "You all remember Marcus, right?" I continued, addressing the guests. "Our daughter's soccer coach? The guy who's been giving Ashley extra workouts every Thursday night?" "Yeah, that Marcus." Gasps. Actual gasps. Carter covered his mouth. My brother James muttered, "Jesus Christ." Her mom's jaw dropped, and even Ron looked like he'd swallowed glass. I looked right at Ashley. Her expression twisted, like a child caught stealing, but angry you saw them do it. She stood up quickly, knocking over her wine glass. The red liquid spread across the white tablecloth like blood. "You're insane," she snapped. "You don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone. I had airdropped one of the PI's videos to myself earlier, just in case. I tapped the screen and let it play, full volume. There they were, Ashley and Marcus. In his truck. Her climbing over the center console into his lap. It was dark, but their shadows left no mystery. I locked eyes with her. "You gonna tell me this was a coaching session?" The silence was louder than any argument we ever had. She laughed. Loud. Bitter. "You're pathetic, Ethan. You stalk me, spy on me, and now what? You want to embarrass me? You want a medal for being a doormat for a decade?" "No," I said. "I just want everyone here to know who you really are." She grabbed her purse and stormed off the rooftop without another word. Her heels echoed with each step like gunshots. Her mother chased after her, shouting her name. Her father quietly got up and followed, not saying a single word. I sat down slowly, exhaled, and finished my wine. No one said anything for a long time. Then Carter leaned over and said, "Dude, holy sh*T. I didn't respond. My chest felt empty. Not broken. Not yet. Just hollow. I looked out over the city skyline. 10 years. 10 freaking years. And it ended in a toast. But this was just the beginning. Because Ashley thought she humiliated me. She had no idea what I had planned next. I didn't sleep that night. After the rooftop exploded into chaos, I left quietly. No goodbyes, no explanations. Just walked out, got in my car, and drove with no destination in mind. I must have circled the city for hours. At some point, I ended up parked outside a 24-hour diner, staring blankly at the glowing sign while the events replayed in my head like a sick loop. Ashley, her glass raised, her smug face. Free, single, and searching. That t-shirt. 10 years of disappointment. Who does that? I sat in the dark with the engine running and asked myself 100 questions. Was I that blind? That naive? When did she stop loving me, if she ever did? And worse, how long had I been sleeping next to a stranger? Around 3 a.m., I opened my messages and scrolled through the PI's report again. It wasn't just Marcus. There were 2 other names mentioned. One of them, Liam, was someone we had both gone out to dinner with a few months ago. He shook my hand. Told me I was lucky to have a woman like Ashley. I almost laughed. Hell, maybe I did. But it sounded more like choking. When I got home, the house was dark. Her car wasn't there. Good. I didn't want to see her yet. I wasn't ready for the lies, for her crocodile tears, for that manipulative way she always twisted reality. I needed to collect my thoughts first. But as I stepped into the kitchen, something caught my eye. A note. Scribbled quickly. We need to talk. I'll be back later. No apology. No remorse. Just 4 words like she was checking in with a roommate. I stood in that kitchen, staring at the counter where we used to sit every morning, her with her coffee, me with my protein shake. I remembered laughing there, planning vacations, arguing about dumb things like whose turn it was to take out the trash. All of it felt fake now. Like I'd been living in a set and everyone knew except me. That's when I noticed it. Her laptop. Still open. I don't know what came over me. I never snooped before. I trusted her. But now? Now I needed to know. So I sat down, opened the screen wider, and there it was. Her messages were synced. Hundreds of them. The first one that popped up was from Marcus. You looked so good tonight. He didn't deserve you. Can't wait to feel you again. Feel you again. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. My hands were shaking. But I kept reading. Ashley's replies were surreal. Cold. Shameless. She joked about me. Mocked our marriage. Said she only stayed for the house and until the business sells. Said I was boring, that I stopped being a man years ago. One message burned itself into my brain. He's so easy to lie to, it's almost not fun anymore. I don't remember standing up. Don't remember knocking the laptop off the counter. I just remember the sound it made when it hit the floor, plastic and glass snapping like my last nerve. She came home around 9 in the morning. Same dress from the dinner. Hair a mess. Smelled like cheap cologne. She walked in like nothing happened. Oh, you're home, she said, setting her keys down. We need to talk. I didn't move. Just stared at her. Talk? I said. Before or after you text Marcus again? She froze. I saw it happen, the flicker of panic in her eyes. But it vanished quick, replaced by that same defiant smirk. So what? You went through my stuff? Real classy, Ethan. You cheated on me. She rolled her eyes. Rolled. Her. Eyes. Please. You act like you're some saint. Like you've been perfect. You never listened. You never changed. You made everything about your work and your little routines. What did you expect me to do? I expected you not to the soccer coach. Or Liam. Or God knows who else. Her face twisted. She stepped closer. You think you're so righteous? You're pathetic. You're not angry because I lied. You're angry because I had the guts to want more. Something real. Something real. That was it. Something in me snapped, but not in the way she thought. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just smiled. Numb. Hollow. You're right, I said. You do deserve more. And you're going to get it. All of it. Her smile faltered. What are you talking about? I walked past her, up to our room, opened the closet, and pulled out a folder. Inside, copies of everything the PI found. Lawyers' names. My asset protection plan. She thought I was dumb, that I'd roll over. But Ashley forgot. When you betray someone who gave you everything, you don't just lose their love. You wake up their monster. And mine had just opened its eyes. She followed me up the stairs, her heels thudding like gunshots on the hardwood, demanding answers she wasn't ready to hear. What the hell is that? She asked, pointing to the folder I was calmly laying out on the bed. What are you doing, Ethan? I turned around, finally looking her dead in the eyes. This, I said, is the next 10 years of your life. The same ones you were so proud to throw away last night. She scoffed, crossed her arms. Oh, don't be dramatic. You humiliated me in front of our family, Ashley, I said, my voice low but steady. You made a toast to being single. You handed me a shirt that said 10 years of disappointment like it was some kind of joke. You've been screwing around behind my back for months, maybe years, and now you're mad that I know. She tried to interrupt, but I raised my hand. No, you don't get to talk right now. You've talked enough. Lied enough. I listened to you for 10 years. I fought for us. I gave you everything. And you gave your body, your time, your lies to every man who showed you a little attention. That hit. I saw her jaw tighten. You want to know what's in this folder? I continued, picking it up and flipping it open. Let me walk you through it. I pulled out the timeline. Hotel visits. Photos. Names. Dates. Even the night she told me she was at a spa weekend with her friends, turns out She was at a ski resort with Marcus. Room 312. 3 nights. Look familiar? I held up the photo of her wrapped in a hotel robe, sitting on a man's lap by the fireplace. She didn't say a word. Then I showed her the bank statements. All the hidden transfers from our joint account to her personal one. Thousands of dollars. Fancy lingerie she never wore for me. Ubers to places she claimed she'd never been. I even found the invoice for a private yacht dinner with someone named Chase. I don't even know who the hell Chase is. Finally, I pulled out a single sheet. The divorce papers. I already signed them, I said quietly. And I'll make this easy on you. I won't drag your name through the mud. I won't expose your little flings to your job or your family. As long as you don't fight me on the house and I get full custody. That got her attention. Her eyes snapped up. Custody? You think I'm going to let you take Emma? I felt something cold rise up in my chest. She's not a pawn, I said. And she sure as hell doesn't need to be raised by someone who thinks commitment is optional and lying is just how adults communicate. You can't do this, she shouted. This is my life too, Ethan. You can't just erase me. I stepped forward, just enough that she had to look up at me. You already erased yourself the moment you decided screwing the coach was more exciting than keeping our family together. Her face twisted with something between rage and desperation. For a second, I thought she might cry. But instead, she laughed. A cold, dead laugh. You think any of this is going to make you feel better? She said. You think divorcing me is going to fix how boring you are? You think women are going to line up for a man who didn't see his own wife slipping away for years? I didn't answer. I just picked up the folder and walked past her. At the doorway, I paused. You should start packing, I said without turning around. I'll be back tonight with a moving truck. As I walked out of the house, I could still hear her upstairs, slamming things, muttering curses, calling me pathetic. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I wasn't confused. I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't guessing what mood she'd be in or pretending like everything was okay just to keep peace. No, I was done. And the fire in my chest was no longer heartbreak. It was clarity. It was freedom. She thought she humiliated me at dinner, but I wasn't even close to finished. I didn't come back that night. Instead, I checked into a hotel. Not some overpriced resort or rooftop fantasy like the one she snuck off to with her boy toys, just a quiet place on the edge of the city. Somewhere I could breathe. Somewhere nobody knew my name or looked at me like that guy who got played by his wife at his own anniversary. I stared at the ceiling for hours. No sleep. My mind raced like it was trying to outrun the last 10 years of my life. Every argument, every excuse she made, every time she pulled away and said she was just tired or not in the mood. All the signs had been there, but I'd swallowed them like poison, convincing myself it was just marriage being hard. Bullshasters T. She wasn't just unfaithful. She was cruel. Calculated. She didn't cheat because she was unhappy, she cheated because she could. Because she thought I'd never find out. Because deep down, she didn't think I'd do anything even if I did. I got up, showered, shaved, and put on the shirt she gave me. 10 years of disappointment. Yeah, let the world see it. Let them ask. I wanted someone to say something, give me a reason to unload the truth. But no one said a word. Maybe they saw the look in my eyes. The next morning, I met with the lawyer. We reviewed the case, ironed out the paperwork, and went over the custody details. Everything was in my favor, thanks to her digital trail of betrayal and the evidence that left little room for her to play victim. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Diane, looked through the files, then looked at me and said, "You've been way too patient. Let's fix that." By the afternoon, the moving truck was at the house. I didn't go inside. I sent Carter. He walked in, told her to pack only what was hers, and said anything left behind would be considered abandoned property. She lost her mind. Called me 30 times in a row. Left voicemail after voicemail. The first few were furious. "You coward. You couldn't even face me. You think this is over? I'm not letting you take everything." But then they changed. "Ethan, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Can we please talk? You owe me that much." I was confused. We were both distant. Don't throw everything away. That's the thing about women like Ashley. They don't feel guilt until their comfort is threatened. She never apologized because she was sorry. She apologized because she realized I wasn't her doormat anymore. I let her sweat. I spent the rest of the week getting my affairs in order. Changed passwords. Froze joint accounts. Met with Emma's school counselor to prepare her for the storm coming. I wasn't going to tell my daughter the ugly details, but I wasn't going to let Ashley manipulate her either. Then, on the 7th day, Ashley showed up at the hotel. I opened the door and found her standing there, sunglasses on, mascara slightly smudged. No makeup, no fake smile. She looked smaller somehow. Worn. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside but didn't say anything. She walked to the middle of the room and turned to face me. Her voice was soft now. That fake sharpness she used to weaponize was gone, or at least buried for now. "I know you hate me," she said. I didn't respond. I know what I did. I know it was wrong. And I know it's too late to fix anything, but I need you to know that I wasn't always lying. Not all of it. There were moments I loved you. I just got lost. Lost? I finally said. "You didn't get lost, Ashley. You took AF ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** just wanted to say goodbye. Properly. Properly. I laughed once, cold and bitter. You humiliated me in front of everyone I love. That was your goodbye. I was angry, she said. I wanted to hurt you because I felt invisible. You weren't invisible. You were adored. You were trusted. You were everything to me. But I was just a box you checked off. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't care. Not anymore. You know what hurts the most? I asked. It's not Marcus, or the lies, or that goddamn t-shirt. It's that I spent 10 years trying to be the man you needed, and it turns out you never needed a man. You needed a mirror to admire yourself in. She didn't speak after that. Just stood there, mouth trembling, then turned and walked out. I watched her go. No goodbye. No regrets. And for the first time in a decade, I felt free. The silence that followed was almost sacred. After she left the hotel room, I didn't move for a long time. Just stood there, staring at the door, letting the absence of her presence sink in. The kind of quiet that feels like a deep breath after drowning. The kind you don't interrupt. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because the tears had dried up somewhere between that rooftop dinner and her telling me I was boring. There was no sadness left. Only weight. A pressure that had built for years under the surface, quietly dragging me down, and now, finally, it had lifted. I checked out the next morning. Drove home. My real home now. The one with her clothes gone, her voice gone, her fake little good morning kisses gone. No more perfume lingering in the bathroom after she came back late from girls' night. No more lying eyes asking, "Why are you being so paranoid?" I walked from room to room like I was rediscovering my own life. Opened drawers, cleared out the leftovers of what she left behind, receipts, notes, a pair of earrings that weren't mine to give her in the first place. I dropped them all in a box labeled, "Return to Sender." That night, Emma came home. My little girl, 12 years old and far too smart for her own good. She stepped through the door with her backpack hanging off one shoulder, chewing the end of a pencil, her eyes scanning the living room like she already knew something was different. "Where's Mom?" I knelt down in front of her. "She's staying somewhere else for a while." She didn't ask why. She just nodded slowly and hugged me. Tight. The kind of hug where kids don't need words. They already feel the truth in the air. Later, while she did homework, I sat at the kitchen table, our table, and stared at the divorce papers again. My signature already there, Ashley's still missing. But I knew it was a matter of time. She'd fold. Women like her always do when the spotlight's gone and they have to face their reflection alone. I poured myself a drink, scotch, and held it up. No toast. No words. Just a sip for survival. 3 days later, I got a call from Marcus. I almost didn't answer, but I wanted to hear his voice. Wanted to hear what a man sounds like after he's been exposed, stripped of the lies, the sneaking, the thrill of betrayal. "Ethan," he said. "Look, I don't want trouble. Ashley told me what happened." I laughed. "She tell you I caught her with 2 other guys too? Or just her part?" He went quiet. "I didn't know," he said. "She told me you were separated." "They all say that," I said. "Don't worry, Marcus. I'm not coming after you. You're not the enemy." "She is." He sighed. I ended it. "Good for you. Won a medal. I just thought you should know. I didn't mean for any of this." "No one ever does," I said, and hung up. The next week moved fast. Lawyers finalized the papers. Ashley didn't fight the custody, probably too embarrassed to stand in front of a judge and explain why her marriage ended with hotel receipts and a soccer coach's truck. The house stayed mine. The car stayed mine. Everything stayed mine, except the weight I'd been carrying for a decade. Then came the moment I didn't expect. I was cleaning out the garage when I found an old photo album, stuffed in a dusty box behind the winter coats. Inside, pictures of us. Our wedding day. Vacations. her pregnant with Emma, smiling, holding hands, eyes full of things that now felt like fiction. I closed the album, sat down on the floor, and stared at the concrete. Maybe it was real once. Maybe, for a while, she did love me. Or maybe I just loved her enough for both of us and she never had to try. Maybe the woman I married died somewhere along the way, and I kept trying to resurrect a ghost. But here's what I do know. I gave everything, and she buried it, mocked it, and still, I came out stronger. Not just free, but awake. Men like me, we don't stay broken. We rebuild, brick by brick. And this time, no one's burning it down. A month passed. You'd think things would feel normal by now. They didn't. But they felt mine. That was enough. Emma started asking more questions. Not directly, she was too smart for that. But they came in side doorways. Why does Mom only call every few days? Are we still a family? Did I do something wrong? Those ones hurt. Cut right through. But I never badmouthed Ashley to her. Never once. I answered what I could, kept it simple, honest. No, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong. Mom and I just see things differently now. We're always a family. Me and you. That never changes. And I meant it. Some nights, I'd hear Emma crying in her room. I never asked why. Just went in, sat on the edge of the bed, and let her talk if she wanted. Most nights, she didn't. Just reached out for my hand, and that was enough. Ashley, on the other hand, was unraveling. She tried texting, calling, even showed up at Emma's school one afternoon with gifts and a half-baked smile. I watched from the car, arms crossed, biting my tongue while she tried to play the sweet mother card in front of other parents, people who had all heard what happened. It wasn't a town you could hide things in. Later that evening, she called me again. I miss her, she said, voice shaky. I know I get up. But I want to be there. I want her to know I care. You should have thought of that before you turned our anniversary into your personal comedy show, I said flatly. I didn't know it would go like that. Yes, you did. You wanted it to go like that. You wanted to humiliate me, Ashley. And now you're shocked it didn't work out the way you imagined in your twisted little head. Silence on the line. I'm still her mother, she said. Then act like it. Show up. Be consistent. Don't buy her off with cheap presents and hollow hugs. She won't even talk to me. Because kids know. Even when they can't say it, they feel it. You think she didn't notice you coming home late smelling like a man who wasn't me? You think she didn't see the way you looked at your phone and smiled, but never smiled at us? Ashley started crying, but I didn't flinch. I had nothing left for her. No pity. No softness. Goodbye, Ashley. I hung up. The peace after that call was strange. Not satisfying, not bitter. Just clean. Like finally washing off something sticky you didn't realize had clung to your skin for years. That weekend, Emma and I went hiking. Just us. Packed a lunch, brought our camera, spent the day out in the open air. It was the first time I saw her laugh and mean it in weeks. She ran ahead on the trail, shouting back facts about birds and trees, trying to impress me with things she learned in school. I played along, cheered her on, took photos. At the top of the hill, we sat on a rock and watched the sun start to dip behind the trees. I like this better, she said. Just us. I looked at her. She was so much like me it scared me, quiet, observant, soft-hearted, but with a fire in her if you looked close enough. I like it too, I said. She turned to me. Are you happy now? I thought about that. Really thought. And for the first time in years, I didn't have to lie. Yeah, I said. I think I'm starting to be. The next day, the divorce was finalized. Ashley didn't show up in court. Just had her lawyer sign off and send it through. I sat there alone, listening to the judge's voice drone on, stamping the papers, declaring our marriage officially dead. 10 years erased with the thud of a file hitting a wooden bench. But it didn't feel like a funeral. It felt like a release. Later that night, I lit a fire in the backyard, poured a drink, pulled out the shirt, the one with 10 years of disappointment, and threw it into the flames. Watched it curl and blacken, the letters burning away like they were never real. That shirt was meant to shame me, humiliate me. But now, it was just kindling. Like her words. Like her love. Burned. Gone. Nothing but ash. And I sat there smiling. Not because I'd won, but because I survived. A few weeks went by, and the whispers faded. The neighbors stopped staring when we took out the trash. The people at Emma's school no longer looked at me like a walking scandal. Ashley had gone quiet, probably licking her wounds, hiding behind her filtered Instagram stories where she posted photos with captions like, "Healing is messy but beautiful," over lattes and yoga mats. The same woman who toasted to being free and single now tried to sell the image of a broken bird learning to fly again. She could fool the world, but she'd never fool me again. One afternoon, I got a letter from her. A real one, paper, envelope, stamp and all. Inside was 2 pages of carefully crafted regret. Not a single real apology, of course. Just poetic little sentences like, I never meant to hurt you, and we grew apart, and I needed to find myself. At the bottom, she wrote, I hope one day you'll remember the good in me. I didn't reply. I tore the letter in half and dropped it in the shredder. Because I remembered the good. That was the problem. I remembered how she used to fall asleep on my chest. I remembered how she used to call me her best friend. I remembered how she used to kiss me like I was the only man she could ever want. And now? Now those memories felt like a trick. A stage performance. And I'd been the fool clapping in the front row. Carter came by that weekend. He brought beer and silence, which was exactly what I needed. We sat in the backyard, the grill going, Emma playing with the dog nearby, and we didn't say much for a while. Then he finally looked over and said, You're different. How so? Lighter. Like a guy who finally put down a backpack full of bricks. I nodded, staring at the flames under the meat. I was carrying something that wasn't mine to hold. She reached out to me, he added, almost like he didn't want to say it. I glanced over. Yeah. Said she misses our group. Said she's sorry if she made things awkward. She made things atomic, not awkward. He smiled. I didn't respond. I figured you'd want it that way. I appreciate it. Then he cracked open a beer and passed it to me. To disappointment. I smirked. To freedom. Later that night, I tucked Emma into bed. She hugged me tight, tighter than usual. Maybe she sensed something. Maybe she felt safe again. Or maybe kids just know when their world is no longer on fire. When I went back downstairs, I sat on the couch and turned on the TV. Not to watch it, just for the background noise. And then, out of habit, I picked up my phone and opened our old photo album, the digital one. There she was, smiling in front of the Eiffel Tower, laughing at the beach, holding Emma as a baby. I stared at the screen. The photos didn't hurt anymore. They didn't twist the knife. They just felt like old postcards from a country I never wanted to visit again. I deleted them. Every last one. Not out of hate. Not out of rage. Out of mercy. For myself. The next morning, I woke up early. Went for a run. Made breakfast. Laughed with my daughter. Paid bills. Played fetch with the dog. Took a long shower with no one rushing me. No one yelling from the other room about nonsense. No fake cold shoulder waiting for me when I stepped out. It hit me sometime around noon. This was peace. Not the loud kind with fireworks and closure speeches. The quiet kind. The kind that sneaks up on you and says, you made it. Through betrayal. Through heartbreak. Through years of lies. And here I was, still standing. Still breathing. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. There was no other shoe. There was only the ground beneath me, and it finally felt solid. I wasn't the man who got cheated on anymore. I was the man who walked through hell and walked out clean. The final piece of this story didn't come with a bang. It came on a quiet Tuesday. I was in the kitchen, making lunch, just a simple sandwich, the kind she used to complain about, said it was lazy cooking. I was halfway through slicing tomatoes when I heard Emma giggling from the living room. She was FaceTiming her friend, sprawled across the couch with a big blanket and her favorite hoodie, talking about some art project. That laughter? That was the sound of healing, of stability, of finally feeling safe. And just like that, I realized I didn't miss anything. Not the way Ashley used to walk around like the house was hers alone. Not the eggshells I tiptoed on for years. Not the emotional hostage crisis I mistook for love. She was a chapter. A long, painful one. But that book was closed now. The ashes were scattered. The damage done. And yet here I stood a whole, scarred, yes, but whole. I had a daughter who looked at me like I hung the moon. I had peace. And above all else, I had me again. Later that night, I wrote something down. Not for Ashley. Not for anyone else. Just for myself. I stuck it in a drawer by the bed, behind some old receipts and socks. It said, you can love someone and still need to leave them. You can give your soul and still get betrayed. But that doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. And when you finally walk away, walk proud. Because surviving her wasn't the end of you. It was the beginning. And to any man who's reading this, sitting in the same sinking boat I once was, wondering if it's all in your head, wondering why it hurts so damn much to stay loyal in a house built on lies, let me tell you something. She's not going to change. She's not going to wake up one day and realize she broke something precious. But you can wake up. You can walk. And when you do, you'll feel like a man again, not the shadow she left behind. So don't chase closure. Be the closure. Burn the shirt. Sign the papers. Take your kid to school. Make your own damn sandwich. Laugh again. Heal. You deserve better. I did too. And now? I'm free. It was supposed to be a peaceful family trip. You know, the kind of getaway where you're trying to rebuild something that deep down, you already know is cracked. But what happened on that mountain resort made everything crystal clear. We had just arrived at the lodge, high in the Smoky Mountains, with her whole entitled family. Her father, Donald, her mother, Gloria, her two perfect sisters who never liked me, and of course, my wife, Madison. We'd been married for 6 years, and for the last 6 months, I felt like I was living with a roommate who couldn't stand the sound of my breathing. That morning, I came out of the cabin holding a cup of coffee, walking down the wooden steps with a yawn, still half asleep. I wasn't paying attention when I bumped into something, or rather, someone. It was Donald, her father. I accidentally stepped on his goddamn Italian leather shoes. He looked down at them like they were holy artifacts. Then his eyes, those judgmental, reptilian eyes, flashed with rage. Before I could even get a word out, his hand flew across my face with a crack so loud it startled a nearby flock of birds. "How dare you touch my shoes, you disgusting man," he screamed. Everyone turned to look. The whole family froze. "These shoes are worth more than you. Clean them. Now. Then get lost." I stood there, stunned, one cheek burning, heartbeat thudding like a war drum. I looked at Madison. Surely she would say something. But she didn't defend me. She didn't tell him he was out of line. No. She crossed her arms, rolled her eyes like a bratty teenager, and barked, apologized to him. Now, I swear to God, in that moment, something inside me snapped. Something permanent. I didn't say a word. I just turned around, walked back to our room, packed my bag, and drove 5 hours back home. Alone. And here's where it gets twisted. 3 days later, they came back from the trip, laughing like nothing happened. I had been quiet, observant, and I had time, too much time, to think. So I did some digging. Something wasn't right. It hadn't been for months. The distance, the coldness, the fake smiles, the constant phone hiding, the whispered calls at night. I remembered something strange from just before we left for the trip. Madison had a new work friend, some guy named Tyler. I'd seen his name pop up on her phone a few times. Once at 1:42 a.m. She claimed it was a group chat from work. I didn't press. I should have. So while she was off sipping wine and clinking glasses with her perfect family, I went full Sherlock. I hacked into our iCloud, synced her messages to an old iPad she forgot in my office drawer. And what I saw? There was no Tyler. There was Ty, a gym trainer from her yoga studio. Half her messages were deleted, but she didn't know the iCloud kept backups. There were photos of them, together, in his car, in his apartment, her in that red dress, the one she swore she wore for our anniversary dinner. There were texts. "God, I wish you were here instead of him. He's such a loser. I feel like I'm suffocating. You're the only one who makes me feel alive." She told him she was taking the trip to keep up appearances, but that when she got back, she'd handle it. Handle it? Like I was some chore. A stain she needed to wipe off her life. I stared at the screen, fingers trembling, my vision going dark around the edges. This wasn't just betrayal. It was mockery. It was evil dressed in Chanel perfume. When she walked through the door that evening, smiling like nothing happened, dragging her pink suitcase behind her, I didn't say a word. Not yet. I just said, "Hope the trip was nice." She blinked. "It was amazing, babe. The views were insane." I smiled. "Yeah, I bet. Your dad seemed to really enjoy himself." She laughed. "He did." I leaned in close. "Tell me something, Madison. Did Ty enjoy it too?" The color drained from her face like a faucet had been turned on under her skin. She froze. I didn't. I pulled out the iPad, opened the screen, and tapped the gallery. Her face twisted. I saw fear. Not regret. Not guilt. Fear. And it wasn't because she hurt me. It was because she was about to lose everything. She took a step back like the screen itself had just slapped her. "You went through my stuff?" she hissed, eyes darting to the door like someone might be listening. I didn't even blink. "You left your entire life on the cloud, Madison. That wasn't me going through your stuff. That was you leaving the door open with a sign that said, "Cheater lives here." Her lips curled into that fake little smile she always used when she was cornered. It's not what it looks like. Oh, really? I stepped closer. Then what is it? Enlighten me. Because I'm looking at a half-naked selfie of you in his bathroom mirror. Was that part of a charity event? Or maybe a new yoga campaign? She rolled her eyes and turned away like I was the one annoying her. You're overreacting, she muttered. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. I laughed. Actually laughed. That ugly kind of laugh that comes out when your heart is crumbling, but your pride refuses to let you fall apart. You call this just physical? I tossed the iPad on the couch. You told him you loved him, that you wanted to run away with him, that I was holding you back. She folded her arms. Because you are. You're boring, Elijah. You're routine. Predictable. You go to work, you come home, you talk about bills and deadlines and your stupid fantasy football league. That's not a life. That's a prison. I stepped forward. Then why marry me? Why put on the white dress, take the vows, fake the tears, smile for the pictures? Why not just leave before you spread your legs for someone else? She didn't flinch. Not even a little. Because I thought you'd change, she said flatly. But you didn't. You stayed the same pathetic little man who lets my father slap him in front of everyone and still comes back for more. That one hit different. I clenched my fists, not because I was going to hit her, I never would, but because I needed something to hold on to before I lost myself. That slap, I said through my teeth, was the moment I realized something. That I married into a family that sees me as dirt. That I gave everything to a woman who wouldn't even raise her voice when her own husband was humiliated like a damn dog. She turned away, walked toward the hallway. Well, if you're done with your little speech, I'm tired. It's been a long day. I followed her. You're not sleeping in that bed. She turned around slowly. Excuse me. You heard me. You don't sleep there anymore. Not here. Not in this house. Not after what you did. She smirked. This is my house too, Elijah. Try to kick me out, and you'll see what a real court battle looks like. I paused, stared into those eyes I used to think were beautiful. All I saw now was venom. You're not even sorry. Why would I be? She snapped. You didn't catch me in bed with him. You caught some texts and pictures. Boo-hoo. Cry me a river. Something in my chest cracked. Not heartbreak. No, heartbreak happened when I found the messages. This was beyond that. This was the moment a man stops begging to be loved and starts remembering who the hell he is. You're disgusting, I whispered. You're not the woman I married. You're not even human anymore. You're just a parasite. She shrugged and turned her back to me. Call me what you want, but you'll never leave me. You don't have the balls. She didn't see it. She didn't see the bag behind the door. She didn't see the bank account I cleared that morning. She didn't know I'd already signed the papers, already filed, already changed the locks on the second apartment I rented across town. But she was about to. Because the moment she fell asleep that night, I walked into the bedroom, took one long last look at the woman I once thought I'd grow old with. Then I pulled out a white envelope from the drawer, placed it gently on her pillow, and walked out. Inside was a copy of the texts, a letter from my lawyer, and a note written in my hand. Keep the house. Keep the lies. Keep pretending. Just know this. You'll never see me crawl again. I shut the door behind me, and for the first time in years, I smiled. The next morning, she called me 23 times. I didn't pick up once. I sat in my new place, a small apartment on the edge of town, barely furnished, mattress on the floor, 2 mugs in the kitchen, and just watched the phone light up and go dark over and over again. It was like watching a fire alarm go off in a burning house I'd already walked out of. Around noon, she texted, "Where the hell are you? You can't just disappear like this. We need to talk. You're being childish." And finally, "Come back home, Elijah." Not "I'm sorry." Not "I messed up." Just commands, like I was some misbehaving pet that ran off without permission. She still didn't get it. By the second day, she stopped texting. I thought maybe she'd finally accepted that I was done, that it was over. But that would have been too simple. Instead, on day 3, I came back to the apartment from grabbing groceries and found her sitting on the floor outside my door, legs crossed, sunglasses on, like she was waiting for an Uber. I almost dropped the bags when I saw her. She stood up slow, dramatic, like a movie character. "Took you long enough. What are you doing here?" I asked, voice flat. She brushed past me, invited herself in like she still had the right. "You think you can humiliate me like that and just vanish?" I dropped the bags on the counter. "You humiliated yourself. I just turned the lights on. She took off her sunglasses and threw them on the table. You're blowing this all out of proportion. You cheated. It was a mistake. No. A mistake is buying the wrong brand of coffee. You had an affair. A planned, intentional, months-long affair. You called me a loser. You laughed behind my back. You let your family treat me like trash and joined in when it suited you. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. And you know what? I took it. For years, I took it. Every snide comment, every cold shoulder, every fake smile, every insult from your father, every pity hug from your mom. I swallowed it because I loved you. Because I believed in us. Her face changed. Not softened, just shifted. Like she was deciding on which mask to wear next. I came here to fix this, she said finally. I'm willing to work on it. No, you came here because I was the stable option. The fallback plan. Your gym boy fantasy isn't calling you back, is he? Her silence was the answer. That stung more than I expected. She wasn't here because she loved me. She was here because the other guy backed out. Because reality slapped her harder than her father slapped me. You think I didn't know he blocked you? I continued. You think I didn't see the desperate text you sent him when you got back from the trip? He used you. Just like you used me. She blinked rapidly. Her arms were crossed now, her nails digging into her skin. You don't have to be cruel, she whispered. I almost laughed again. Cruel? You want to talk about Cruel? Cruel was watching me plan our anniversary while you were sneaking into his apartment. Cruel was smiling at me after I cooked dinner, then texting him, I wish I was in your bed right now. That's Cruel. Her voice cracked. I messed up, okay? I was stupid. No. You were selfish. Arrogant. You thought I'd never leave. That I'd just keep forgiving. She moved toward me, slow, eyes glassy. I don't want to lose you. Too late, I said. You lost me the second you told me to apologize to your father for stepping on his damn shoes. That one landed. Her lip quivered. You want to stay here tonight? I asked. Fine. But don't expect a bed. Don't expect forgiveness. Don't expect me. She stayed on the couch, and I locked my bedroom door. I didn't sleep. Just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how many versions of my life died while I waited for her to love me again. The next morning, she was gone. No note. No goodbye. And for the first time in weeks, the silence felt like peace. A week passed. She didn't come back. No calls. No messages. Nothing. But I wasn't fooled by the silence. Madison wasn't the type to vanish quietly. She was plotting something. She always was. That woman could set fire to your life and then ask why you were sweating. I spent those days cleaning my mind like I was cleaning my apartment. I threw out everything that reminded me of her. The framed wedding photo where I looked like the happiest fool on earth. Her favorite wine glass. That hideous scented candle she insisted made the place feel luxurious. I even took the comforter to a dumpster across town. I didn't want a trace of her in my bed. Not even her ghost. But the real purge happened in my head. Every night, I replayed all the moments I'd ignored. Every time she brushed me off, laughed at my ideas, rolled her eyes when I talked about my dreams. Every time she chose her phone over my words. I thought I was healing. Then came the email. It was from a friend, Ben. We'd gone to college together, stayed loosely connected through poker nights and fantasy football. His message was short. Just 3 lines. Hey man, hate to be the one to say this, but I thought you should know, Madison's been telling people you abused her. She's saying that's why you left. I stared at the screen for a full minute, blinking, waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something sane. She was doing what? My heart started pounding, not from heartbreak this time, but from pure rage. That woman wasn't just a liar. She was a full-blown monster. She couldn't take the fall, so she started throwing dirt. I called Ben. She's been saying it at her gym, he said. Told a few mutuals. Said you used to throw things. Said you got violent. I never even yelled at her. I said through gritted teeth. Not once. I know. That's why I'm telling you. That night, I didn't sleep. Again. But not from sadness. This time, it was strategy. I started collecting things. Messages. Screenshots. Old voicemails. Even receipts from the apartment lease I got before I left the house. I wanted every possible nail for her coffin. And then, 2 days later, she showed up again. Not at my door. At my job. I work in commercial design. Downtown office, clean desk, glass walls. Madison walked in like she owned the place. Heels clicking, fake smile on, wearing that same red lipstick she used to leave on another man's chest. Elijah, she said sweetly, ignoring the stares from my coworkers. Can we talk? I stood up slowly. You shouldn't be here. She leaned in. This will only take a minute. I walked her outside, down the concrete steps, into the parking lot behind the building. She flipped her hair. So, you've been ghosting me. You accused me of abuse. Her face twisted. I never said that. I just told people things were tense. You said I got violent. I said you were cold. That's not the same as. Stop. I raised a hand. You're not going to twist this. Not this time. She crossed her arms. Look, Elijah. I get it. You're hurt. But you're not exactly innocent here either. My jaw tightened. What does that mean? You left. You abandoned me in that house. Didn't even try to work it out. I laughed again. That hollow, angry laugh I was getting too good at. Work it out? After what I saw. After what you said to me on that trip. Her expression hardened. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to offer you a deal. I raised an eyebrow. A deal? You don't drag my name through the mud, she said, stepping closer. And I don't file for spousal support. And there it was. The real reason she came. Not for closure. Not for guilt. But money. She thought she still had leverage. I took a deep breath. I'm not dragging your name. I'm just protecting mine. You want to lie to people? Go ahead. But I've got receipts. I've got everything. You try to pull any legal tricks, I will bury you in paperwork so deep your next yoga class will be in court. Her mouth opened, then closed. Then she did something that truly stunned me. She smiled. Fine, she whispered. But don't think this is over. Oh, it is, I said, turning away. You just don't know it yet. As I walked back into the building, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel relieved. I felt free, and that was more than enough. A week after that showdown in the parking lot, she stopped trying to contact me. No calls, no surprise visits, no fake emotional ambushes. For a moment, I started thinking maybe, she'd actually given up. But I should have known better. Madison never walks away without taking something with her. It started with a call from my bank. Mr. Hayes, we just wanted to confirm a wire transfer request made yesterday from your joint account ending in 3476. I froze. Joint account. Yes, the one listed under you and Mrs. Hayes. We closed that account. No, sir. It's still active. There's been no official documentation from both parties to dissolve access. She transferred $8,200. I sat there, gripping the phone so tight I thought it might snap in half. Put a freeze on the account. Immediately. Yes, sir. Madison had stolen from me. I wasn't even surprised. It wasn't just about money to her. It was about reminding me that she still had a hand on my throat. That no matter how far I ran, she could always tighten the grip. But I was ready this time. I went to my lawyer the next day. Freeze everything, I said. Every asset. Every account. Every paper with her name on it. I don't care if it's a damn magazine subscription. Cut it off. He nodded. You want to proceed with the divorce then? No, I said. I want to finish it. We filed. And like clockwork, Madison's true form emerged. First came the emails. Then the accusations. Then her lawyer, some smug-looking parasite who kept calling me Mr. Hayes in a tone like he was addressing a convicted criminal. They wanted the car. They wanted alimony. They wanted half my business. My business. The one I built from a coffee table and a busted laptop while she was out finding herself with Ty and whatever other gym freaks she bounced between. But I was ready. I had messages, photos, testimonies, even an audio clip. Madison had once left a voicemail on Ty's phone, drunk, sobbing about how Elijah doesn't even know I've been sleeping with you in our bed. Ty, being the genius he was, saved it. Somehow, it ended up in my hands. Game over. When we walked into mediation, she strutted in like she was walking a red carpet. Red lips, tight skirt, that same empty stare. She sat across from me, calm, composed, until my lawyer pulled out the folder. We didn't even have to open it. Just slid it across the table. Madison paled. Her lawyer opened it, read the first few lines, and his entire posture changed. They backed off. No alimony. No car. No business. She walked out without saying a word. And for the first time, her silence wasn't power. It was defeat. The next few days were weird. I wasn't happy. I wasn't broken. I just existed. I'd catch myself looking at the side of the bed where she used to sleep, expecting to hear her fake snore or see her scrolling through her phone with a smirk. But there was nothing. Silence. Stillness. One night, I drove past the old house. Just parked outside. Lights were off. Her car was gone. A neighbor walked by and stopped. "You Elijah?" he asked. I nodded. "She moved out last night. Didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just packed up and left." "Where to?" He shrugged. "Some guy with a black truck picked her up. Tattoos. Muscle shirt. Didn't look like the husband type." I smiled. Of course. She didn't change. She just found a new host. I drove home. Opened the fridge. Ate a cold slice of pizza in silence. And you know what? It was the best damn pizza I'd had in years. Because no one rolled their eyes. No one said, "Again." No one threw out my leftovers. I didn't need champagne or victory speeches. I just needed that one quiet moment where I knew. I got out. And I survived. 2 months passed. Just like that. And no, I didn't move on in the way people expect. I didn't get a new girlfriend, didn't start journaling my healing process, didn't sign up for some sunrise yoga bullshit. I just lived, breathed, slept, ate, worked. And weirdly enough, that was enough. But then came the message that nearly broke that peace. It was a Tuesday, midday. I just finished a pitch with a new client and was feeling, dare I say it, good. Until I opened my email and saw her name. Subject line, "You should know." My stomach tightened. Against my better judgment, I clicked. "Hey Elijah, I didn't want to text you because I knew you'd block me again. I just thought you should hear this from me before someone else tells you. I'm pregnant. It's not yours, obviously, but I wanted to tell you because I'm keeping it. And I've told my parents. They're excited. Weird, right? You don't have to respond. I just thought you should know. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not angry. Not even surprised. Just empty. Of course she was pregnant. Of course it wasn't mine. And of course she wanted me to know. It was her last little twist of the knife. One final, "Look what I have now," to remind me I wasn't invited to her next disaster. And yet, instead of rage, all I felt was a strange, bitter freedom. Because that child, that future, not my problem, not my weight to carry. I closed the laptop, went outside, took a walk through the park near my apartment, watched a kid feed pigeons with his dad, and I realized she never really wanted a life. She wanted a movie, drama, attention, plot twists, and she used everyone around her as extras in her own messed up script. But me? I'd left the set. A few days later, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years, Sophie. We used to work together before she moved out west. She was in town visiting family, and we ended up grabbing coffee. She asked about Madison. I didn't tell her everything. Just said, "She's someone I used to know. Someone I outgrew." Sophie smiled. "You look lighter. Like you finally exhaled." And maybe I had. We sat in that cafe for hours. No pressure. No lies. No pretending to be something for someone who never wanted the real me. Later that night, I got home and found an old photo of me and Madison, one from when things still looked good. We were on a boat, sunglasses on, arms around each other, fake as hell. I deleted it. Not in anger. Just closure. She was gone. And what she left behind was ashes I didn't need to sweep up. Funny thing is, people always say you'll come out stronger after betrayal. I don't know if that's true, but you definitely come out smarter. Sharper. You stop ignoring the alarms. You stop begging people to treat you like you matter. You build your own peace. Brick by damn brick. And when someone tries to tear it down again, you don't scream. You don't beg. You just smile. And close the door. A few weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hope you're well. Just wanted to say, I was wrong about you. I miss the way you used to care. Not many people care like that. No name. No punctuation. But I didn't need a signature. I could smell the desperation through the screen. It was Madison, trying to slip back in like a ghost who'd forgotten she was dead. I didn't reply. Not out of spite. I just didn't care anymore. Whatever spell she used to have on me had long since snapped. Her words meant as much to me now as the back of a cereal box. And I think that's what terrified her the most, being irrelevant. She'd rather be hated than forgotten. But I didn't even hate her anymore. I just looked back at that part of my life like you look at a house you used to rent. Cold, broken plumbing, and thank God you moved. A few nights after that, Ben invited me to a barbecue at his place. I almost said no. I wasn't in the mood for crowds or small talk. But something in me said, go. That night was simple. Good food, music humming in the background, beers cracking open, people laughing over dumb stories. I didn't have to explain anything to anyone. No one brought up Madison. It was the first social thing I'd done in months where I didn't feel like I was wearing a mask. I caught myself smiling. Like, genuinely smiling. That warm kind that creeps up when you're not performing, not pretending. Just present. Toward the end of the night, as the fire pit flickered low, I stood off to the side, hands in my jacket pockets, watching the sparks float up. That's when Ben walked over, handed me another beer. He nudged me. "You good, man?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think I'm finally good." He looked at me for a second. "You were in deep, huh?" "Too deep," I said. Didn't even realize I was drowning. Ben nodded slowly. "You know, people always act like walking away from someone is this big, dramatic explosion. But sometimes it's just closing a door and not looking back." "Yeah," I said. "Sometimes silence is the loudest freedom." We stood there for a while. No more words. Just firelight and the soft crackle of something new. The next morning, I went for a run through the old trail near the woods. The same trail Madison always complained about. Too muddy, too boring, too not her aesthetic. I ran hard, harder than I had in years, until my lungs burned and my legs felt like iron. And then I stopped, hands on knees, breath fogging the morning air. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't grieving. I wasn't trying to prove anything, or fix anything, or carry someone who never intended to walk beside me. I was just here, alive, and finally whole. If you've never had your world collapse under you, if you've never been lied to by someone who swore they'd protect your heart, then you don't know what it means to build from rubble. But if you have, then you know the truth. You don't heal by getting revenge. You heal by surviving so quietly that they wonder if they ever mattered at all. That was my victory. That was the final chapter. And I didn't need her name in it. A few months passed, and life just kept moving. Without fanfare, without drama, without her. I got back into my routine. Work, gym, quiet evenings. Weekends spent doing things I used to push aside. Cooking real meals. Reading books I bought years ago. Relearning how to enjoy my own company without needing someone to validate it. I didn't talk about Madison much anymore. Not because I was avoiding it, just because there wasn't anything left to say. She'd become background noise. A lesson, not a memory. Then, one morning, I walked past a mirror and didn't recognize myself, but in a good way. My face looked lighter. My eyes weren't constantly tired. I wasn't carrying that invisible weight on my shoulders anymore. I didn't have to brace myself for betrayal, for mood swings, for the 1,000 tiny cuts that come with being with someone who secretly resents you. I was me again. And you know what hit hardest? I didn't need revenge. I didn't need some grand moment where she regretted everything and begged to come back. I didn't need to hear her say sorry, because I'd already moved on. Not with someone else, just with myself. And that was enough. She'd probably go on making chaos in someone else's life. That wasn't my concern. She wasn't my responsibility anymore. I wasn't her fixer, her shield, her punching bag. She was gone. And in her place was something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. If you're reading this, and you're where I was, doubting yourself, questioning your worth, shrinking just to fit into someone else's broken mold, hear me when I say this. Leave. Leave even if your voice shakes. Even if you don't know what's next. Even if the pain screams louder than your logic. Because on the other side of betrayal isn't just survival. It's rebirth. You'll learn that love isn't supposed to feel like begging. That loyalty isn't something you should have to earn every day. And that respect, real respect, starts with how you treat yourself when no one else is watching. I didn't just walk away from Madison. I walked back to myself. And that was the real love story all along. Be a real man for once and leave. No one wants you here. Your kids are ashamed of a broke loser like you. My boyfriend will adopt them. That's what she said while dragging a stranger's suitcase through the front door of our house. 20 years of marriage, 2 beautiful kids, and she looked at me like I was a piece of dog crap stuck to her designer heels. Her name's Vanessa, and trust me, behind those lashes and fake smiles is a heart cold enough to freeze the devil himself. I stood there in the living room holding a grocery bag with discount peanut butter and a half-gallon of milk, watching her lover, a tan, bearded, gym rat-looking clown named Chase, grin like he'd just won the lottery. He had that smug face, the kind that makes your blood boil on sight. He was rolling a goddamn gaming chair into my living room like it was his now. My daughter Lily peeked from the stairs, face pale. My son Jason slammed his door. I think he knew. Maybe they both did. Maybe they saw it before I did. She tossed a thick folder at me. The impact against my chest made a thud I can still hear in my ears. Divorce papers. Adoption forms. Her name already signed in that flawless, venom-laced cursive. "I've been patient long enough," she said, like she was the victim in this. "You've had your chance. Chase is going to give me the life I deserve. The kids deserve." I looked her dead in the eyes. No screaming. No begging. I just asked, "How long?" She smirked. "How long have we been broke?" The insult landed harder than any punch. I wasn't broke. I was rebuilding. COVID hit my business hard, but I was getting back on my feet. Slowly, yes, but honestly. She didn't care. The moment the credit card started getting declined, so did her loyalty. I asked how long. I said again, this time firmer. "Does it matter?" she said, rolling her eyes. "Honestly, Ryan, you're so exhausting. You think you're entitled to the truth now? After letting this family rot in your mediocrity." That was the last time she called it this family. I walked to the hallway closet, grabbed my old military duffel, still smelled like cedar and oil, and packed only what I needed. Some shirts, jeans, my father's watch, a photo of the kids when they were toddlers. Not a single goodbye, not a word to her. I didn't trust myself to speak. The door shut behind me, but her words stayed. Be a real man for once. I spent the night in a motel on Route 9. Slept maybe 2 hours. My mind kept replaying everything. The way she looked at me like I was nothing. Like the years, the late-night diaper changes, the long hours at the office, the laughter, the fights, the forgiveness. All meant nothing. And Chase? That grinning piece of crap had probably slept in my bed that night, thinking he'd won. I didn't cry. Not then. I just stared at the ceiling fan, feeling my chest tighten with something I couldn't even name. Rage? Loss? Maybe both. I kept thinking. She replaced me like a broken coffee machine. I left before dawn. I wanted to see the kids before school. I wanted to stand on the sidewalk and watch them walk out, just to make sure they were okay. But what I got instead was the bang. Loud. Sharp. Like a door slammed by a hurricane. I sprinted up the porch and burst inside, just in time to hear her scream from the stairs. It wasn't just any scream. It was the scream of someone realizing she'd lost control of everything. She came flying down the steps in that same robe she used to wear on Sunday mornings when she brought me coffee. But this time, no coffee. No fake smile. Just mascara-streaked panic and shaking hands. Chase was gone, but something else was left behind. And that was the beginning of my revenge. The morning air still clung to my jacket as I stepped into the house again, but the cold I felt had nothing to do with the weather. It was the silence. The kind that screamed. Vanessa's scream was still echoing through the walls as she stood frozen in the living room, her eyes locked on the carpet. She didn't notice me at first. Her mouth was open, one hand clutching her phone, the other shaking like a loose wire. The phone slid from her grip and hit the floor with a small crack. That's when she noticed me. "What did you do?" she hissed. Her voice wasn't trembling from fear. It was trembling from disbelief. From panic. I followed her stare, and then I saw it. The chair. That stupid expensive gaming chair Chase had rolled in with so much pride was flipped on its side. One of its wheels was cracked. But that wasn't what chilled me. It was the red. A dark patch, half-dried, staining the beige rug. "Where is he?" I asked, my voice calm. Too calm, even to my own ears. She didn't answer right away. She stepped toward the spot, then stopped, like the floor itself would cave under her if she moved. Her eyes darted around the room like she was seeing it for the first time, or seeing what had been left behind. "He left," she said, her voice cracking. "Last night. After you left, I don't know. We had a fight. He said he was going to the gym. He never came back." "Was this before or after you threw away our family for him?" I asked. Her lip curled. "Don't act like a saint, Ryan. You were already halfway out the door." "No," I said, stepping closer. "I was building a life you used to believe in. You're the one who chose this." The sirens came before she could answer. Faint at first, then growing louder, slicing through the neighborhood. She spun toward the window. 2 police cars. 1 unmarked. 1 ambulance. Vanessa's knees gave out before they even parked. She dropped right there onto the rug, onto his blood, and screamed like a banshee. I didn't move. I just watched. This wasn't my scene anymore. This was hers. The officers came in fast, guns drawn, shouting commands. I raised my hands, said my name, explained I had just walked in. Vanessa couldn't even speak. She was pointing at the chair, sobbing, mumbling things that didn't make sense. One of the cops pulled her aside. Another started asking me questions. I answered every one, clear and clean. What time did you leave the house last night? About 6:30 p.m. Where were you overnight? Motel. Route 9. Room 117. Paid in cash. Security cameras should have me on tape. They kept pressing. I didn't flinch. I had nothing to hide. But Vanessa, she was unraveling. They brought her outside to sit on the porch steps. She rocked back and forth, whispering Chase's name over and over like a prayer. Then she said something that stuck with me. He said he did something stupid. He said he handled it. But I didn't know what that meant. She looked up at me then, her eyes bloodshot, her face a mess. You did something, didn't you? She whispered. You couldn't take it. You couldn't stand to see me happy. That's when I smiled for the first time in months. Did what? I asked. She had no answer. The cops didn't arrest anyone that morning. They took samples, photos, statements. Then they towed Vanessa's car. Apparently, it had some damage they needed to examine. She didn't even fight it. She just sat there, arms around her knees, mascara dripping like ink. Chase never came back. And from that day forward, Vanessa never stopped looking over her shoulder. But this wasn't the revenge yet. That was still coming. 2 days passed. No word from Chase. No updates from the cops. No knock on my door. I kept my head low, my answers straight, and my smile hidden. Vanessa, on the other hand, was spiraling. I knew her well enough to predict every move she'd make under pressure, and I knew she'd crack. But what I didn't expect was how sloppy she'd get trying to cover her tracks. It was Thursday afternoon when I got a message from my daughter Lily. Dad, Mom's been crying in the bathroom for like an hour. I think she's hiding something. That hit harder than I thought it would. Not because she was crying. Hell, crocodile tears were her specialty, but because Lily noticed. My little girl, 14 years old, had grown eyes sharper than her mother's lies. She was watching, learning, and I couldn't let her think this was how love worked. So I came back. Didn't knock. Still had my key. Walked in like a ghost. The place smelled like burnt toast and perfume. That heavy, expensive kind Vanessa wore when she was up to no good. The scent of deception, I used to call it. She was pacing the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, whispering fast and low. When she saw me, she jumped. You can't just walk in here like that, she snapped, clutching the phone to her chest. I pointed to the wedding photo still hanging by the staircase. Pretty sure my face is still on the wall, I said. So yeah, I can. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and stormed off toward the living room. I followed casually, my hands in my jacket pockets. That's when I saw it. Another phone. Not the one she'd just hidden in her hoodie. This one was on the side table. Sleek. New. No case. Not her usual pink iPhone. It was unlocked. Her mistake. She hadn't noticed me noticing. She started yelling something about the kids, about how I was traumatizing them by lurking around like a ghost of failure, but I wasn't listening. My eyes were on that phone, and as she turned to head upstairs, still ranting, I moved fast. Snatched it. Slipped it in my pocket. 5 minutes later, I was back in my car, parked 2 blocks down, with the heater on and the phone glowing in my hand. No password. Just open apps. She never thought I'd see this side of her. I wish I hadn't. There were texts. Hundreds. Some with Chase. Some with men I didn't even recognize. One of them was Marcus, apparently her gym friend. Another was Bradley, who'd sent her money through Zelle just for the weekend. Some messages were as recent as last week, before she even threw Chase's crap into the house. And then there was Ethan. He was a cop. Her messages to him were different. Careful. Cryptic. Like she was afraid they'd be seen. I need you to stall things. Just a few days. Tell them I was panicking. That I was scared. No body, no crime, right? My stomach twisted. So she knew Chase wasn't coming back. She just didn't know why. I spent an hour scrolling, screenshotting everything, then dumped the phone in the nearest trash can behind a pharmacy. Not because I wanted to destroy evidence. Hell no. I already had it all sent to a cloud I controlled. I wanted her to wonder, to panic, to start losing sleep. That night, she called me 3 times. Didn't answer. She texted too. Ryan, we need to talk. Please answer. I'm scared. Where's my phone? I didn't respond. I poured myself a drink, looked at the photos of our kids on my cracked screen, and waited. She wanted a storm? She hadn't seen my thunder yet. Friday night came with rain. Thick, heavy drops pounding the motel window like fists from God himself. I sat in silence, staring at the ceiling, the TV playing some late-night sitcom I wasn't watching. My mind was far from laugh tracks and canned applause. Then came the knock. 3 soft taps. Hesitant. I didn't move right away. Just listened. Whoever was on the other side wasn't sure they should be there, which meant they shouldn't. I opened the door slow. Vanessa, soaked to the bone, mascara streaking, hoodie pulled over her head like a teenager caught sneaking out. She looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I just saw her without the mask for the first time. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I stepped aside without a word. She stood near the door, dripping onto the carpet, arms folded, eyes darting around the room like she expected to find another woman hiding behind the curtains. "There's no one here," I said. "You made sure of that, remember?" She flinched. "I'm not here to fight," she said, voice cracking. I don't know where else to go. You've got a house. And a boyfriend. Or at least you used to." Her face went pale. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hands were shaking. "Chase is gone," she whispered. "Really gone. I haven't heard from him. His phone's dead. His sister filed a missing person report. And the cops, they asked me if we had any fights. If I noticed him acting strange." I sat on the edge of the bed. "Did you?" She nodded, eyes wide. "He was paranoid. Kept checking the windows. Said he thought someone was following him. He even accused me of being part of it. Said I was setting him up." The irony nearly made me laugh. Instead, I reached into the drawer and pulled out a manila envelope. Tossed it on the nightstand. Her eyes locked onto it. "What's that?" I didn't answer. She moved slowly, like it might bite. Opened it with trembling fingers. Photos. Screenshots. Texts. All of them. She looked up, horrified. "You went through my phone," she said, like I was the villain. "You were planning to let another man adopt my kids," I said, standing. "You don't get to cry about boundaries now." Tears filled her eyes. Not regret. Not guilt. Just fear. The fear of being found out. "You don't understand," she started, but I cut her off. "No, you don't understand. I was building a life. You were building an escape plan." She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. And for a second, just one, I felt something close to pity. But then she spoke again. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. Chase, he had ideas. Crazy ones. He said you were dangerous. That you'd snap if you ever found out. That's why I panicked. That's why I said those things. About the kids. About you being broke." I slammed my hand on the dresser. "No, you said that because you meant it." She shut up. "You threw me out like trash," I said, breathing hard. "You brought another man into my house. You looked me in the eye and told me I was worthless. And now that he's gone and the walls are closing in, suddenly you're scared? You should be." She stared at me, lips trembling. "Did you?" I didn't answer. Her silence was a question. My silence was the answer. She stood slowly, back toward the door. "If I go to the police, they already know," I said calmly. "Every detail, every lie, every message. I've got enough on you to bury you in court and take full custody of the kids." Her mouth opened, then closed. And for the first time in 20 years, Vanessa looked powerless. "You're not sleeping tonight, are you?" I asked. She didn't reply. She left without another word. The door clicked shut. I sat back down and smiled. Saturday morning. The motel coffee was burnt and bitter, but it was hot, and it kept my hands from trembling. I hadn't slept much again. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her on that rug, screaming over a stain she couldn't scrub clean. Every tear she cried was a performance, a weak attempt to rewrite the story before it hit the final chapter. But the best part? She still didn't know what page she was on. By 10 a.m., I got a call from Lily. "Dad, Mom's acting weird again." She was yelling at someone on the phone and then threw her wine glass at the wall. "It's morning. Who drinks wine in the morning?" I felt something in my chest crack. "Where's your brother?" I asked. "In his room. Door's locked. He won't come out. Don't worry. I'm on my way." I drove fast, too fast. Rage sits heavy on the gas pedal. When I arrived, I didn't ring the bell. I kicked the door open. Vanessa was sitting on the couch in a silk robe like some hungover queen, mascara smudged, barefoot, and wild-eyed. Pieces of shattered glass were scattered near the TV stand. A fresh bottle of red on the table. Her hand was still shaking from her last sip. "Ryan," she began. "Where are the kids?" I snapped. She blinked, surprised at my voice. "Upstairs," she mumbled. "They're fine. No thanks to you." I stormed up, found Lily in her room with headphones on. Jason curled up in a blanket watching old YouTube clips like the world wasn't burning just below them. I hugged them both, told them to pack a bag. Sleep over at Dad's, I said. Their faces lit up, not with joy, but relief. That said everything. When I came back down, she was on the phone. No, Ethan, I can't talk now. He's here. No, the kids are leaving with him. What do you mean I don't have a case? I'm their mother. I walked straight up and snatched the phone out of her hand. Hi, Ethan, I said coldly. Nice badge, by the way. Just curious. Do they let cops tamper with domestic investigations? Or is that a special favor only for mistresses? The silence on the other end told me everything. I hung up and tossed the phone on the couch. Vanessa stood, her robe slipping slightly, exposing the truth she tried to hide with perfume and illusion, desperation. I'll call my lawyer, she hissed. You think you can just steal my kids? You threw them away the second you told another man he could adopt them. You signed those papers, remember? She stepped closer, her finger jabbing the air like a blade. You can't prove I'm an unfit mother. I held up my phone and played a recording. Her voice, drunk, screaming at Lily, calling Jason useless for locking his door. She froze. I can prove enough, I said. Her expression cracked, panic seeping through her perfect cheekbones and fake confidence. She reached for the wine, but her hand missed the bottle and knocked it off the table. It shattered. She gasped, then did something I didn't expect. She laughed. I should have poisoned you, she said, breathless. I should have done it right after Chase moved in. That was the moment I realized. There was nothing left of the woman I married. Not even the worst parts. She wasn't broken. She was hollow. A costume made of skin and sarcasm. I walked out without another word, the kids waiting in the car, bags packed, eyes hopeful. I looked back one last time through the cracked door. She was still laughing, but it didn't sound like joy. It sounded like the sound a mind makes when it finally snaps. And I knew. Her lies were no longer safe. They were bleeding now, and soon, everyone would see the stain. By Monday morning, Vanessa's carefully built tower of lies was wobbling like a house of cards in a wind tunnel. She'd stopped answering calls from her mother. Her Instagram was wiped clean. No more filtered selfies, no family photos, no grateful heart captions with beach sunsets. Just gone. Like she was erasing herself before someone else did it for her. And I knew why. Someone had started asking questions. I got the first call from Detective Ramos, the guy assigned to Chase's case. He was blunt, no time for games. We pulled surveillance footage from a gas station near your house, he said. Your ex-wife's car was there around midnight the night Chase disappeared. She was alone, covered in what looked like mud or something else. Then she drove out toward the old river trail. You familiar with that area? I knew it well. Back roads. No streetlights. Quiet. Perfect for secrets. Yeah, I said. Too well. He exhaled. If you think she's hiding something, now's the time to speak up. I paused, then said, I sent you a file. Voice recordings. Screenshots from her burner phone. Check your inbox. Click. No more pretending. I was all in now. Meanwhile, Vanessa's paranoia was flowering into something manic. I knew because she texted Lily that afternoon asking if the house had cameras inside. She asked Jason if anyone had come by asking questions. She even left 3 voicemails on my phone that were more confession than denial. Ryan, we can fix this. I just panicked. I didn't know who to trust. He was scaring me, okay? Chase wasn't who I thought he was. You don't know the whole story. There were other things. Things I can't say over the phone. Yeah, no crap. Like murder plots, maybe? I didn't answer. Instead, I went to the police station with a flash drive and my lawyer. We sat in that cold interrogation room while Ramos reviewed everything. My voice steady, my evidence airtight. My lawyer only nodded. Then Ramos asked the question that felt like an earthquake. Do you think she killed him? I looked him in the eye and said, no. I think she helped. He leaned back, arms folded. She's not smart enough to plan something this clean. But she's angry enough to go along with it. And she knew where Chase went. She knows he's not coming back. I gave them the name, Ethan Granger. The cop. Vanessa's little side toy. That changed everything. Turns out Ethan had already been suspended once for misuse of access. Nothing public, just a quiet little reprimand swept under the rug. But now, with this, it was a fuse waiting for a match. And I just lit it. That evening, Vanessa came knocking. Not calling. Not texting. Knocking, like she still had the right to stand at my door. She was a mess. Sweatpants, hoodie, No makeup. No mask. I need to talk to you, she said. Alone. I stepped outside. Didn't invite her in. What do you want? Her voice shook. They're investigating me, she said, hands wringing each other like she could squeeze the fear out of her skin. They think I did something to Chase. They said you gave them files. I just stared at her. She kept going. I didn't kill him. I didn't even see him after that night. He left. He said someone was following him. And he disappeared. I took a slow breath. Then why did you tell the cops he went to the gym and was fine? She blinked. Because I thought it'd be easier than telling them I didn't know. I didn't want to look guilty. You didn't want to look guilty, I repeated. So you lied to the police. About a missing man. She was cracking now. I was scared, Ryan. He was into some things. Dangerous people. I think he was using me. I think he knew things about you too. About your past. I think that's why. I stepped forward, ice cold. You think I'm scared of whatever fantasy you're spinning now. She stopped talking. You've lied so much, you don't even know what the truth sounds like anymore, I said. And guess what? Neither do they. But someone's going to figure it out. Soon. And when they do, I leaned in. You'll finally have to live in the mess you made. She walked off without another word. But I could see it in her walk. The wobble, the hesitation. The queen was losing her crown. And the next move? It would be mine. Tuesday, noon. The house she once called a castle had become a trap of her own design. Cops watching. Phones tapped. Curtains always drawn. She wasn't wearing makeup anymore. She wasn't pretending. The fall had begun, and now it was just a matter of how far she dropped before she hit the bottom. I was parked down the street in a rental, engine off. Just watching. She came out with her hood up, looking over her shoulder every 2 steps. Paranoid. That's what guilt does. It whispers in your ear, even when no one's speaking. She opened her car door, looked around again, then drove off. I followed at a distance. She didn't go to the grocery store. She didn't go to her mother's. She didn't even go to Ethan the crooked cop. She went to a small, nondescript lawyer's office on the edge of town. I parked a block away and waited. She was in there for 40 minutes. When she came out, her face was white. She was clutching a folder so tight her knuckles were pale. I texted my lawyer immediately. She's lawyering up. Pressure's working. That night, I met Ramos again. This time in his office, just the two of us. He was less skeptical now, more interested. She hasn't been charged yet, he said. But the investigation's expanding. We traced Chase's last known phone signal to a burner tower 20 miles outside city limits. Same night, he vanished. Guess who used her card for gas at a station right near it? Vanessa, I said flatly. He nodded. And we got traffic cam footage of Ethan's cruiser heading down the same road, off duty. 2 hours after. Bingo. I leaned forward. So what's stopping you? He looked me dead in the eye. Lack of a body. Right. Always the missing piece. But he wasn't finished. We're bringing her in for formal questioning tomorrow. Just a conversation, for now. But if she slips up, even a little. He didn't need to finish that sentence. The fuse was burning low. That night, my phone buzzed. It was a call from her. I let it ring. Then ring again. Then voicemail. Then a text popped up. If I tell you the truth, everything, will you protect me? That was new. Vanessa had never begged. Never pleaded. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another message. It was Ethan. It was always him. I was scared of him. I didn't know what to do. 10 minutes later. Please. I didn't hurt anyone. He said he'd take care of it. I thought he meant leave town. I swear. I stared at the screen. The cracks were wide now, gaping. I called Ramos and read him every word. He didn't say much. Just, thanks. That'll help. The next morning, she didn't walk into the police station. She was escorted. 2 plainclothes detectives, 1 unmarked car. She tried to act calm, but her sunglasses didn't cover the panic in her lips or the tremble in her walk. The news hit local headlines by afternoon. Police question woman in disappearance of local man. They didn't name her, but everyone who needed to know knew. Her mother called me in tears. What happened? She said it was just a misunderstanding. She's been misunderstanding loyalty for 20 years, I said, and hung up. Lily didn't cry when I told her mom had to talk to the police. Jason didn't ask a single question. They just sat next to me, one on each side of the couch, and watched TV like they hadn't breathed right in weeks. They were safe. She wasn't. That night, I got another message. He's dead, isn't he? Tell me the truth. I stared at the screen, heart steady, then replied, you'll find out soon enough. It was Wednesday morning when the knock came at my door. I was expecting it. Detective Ramos stood on my porch, rain dripping from the brim of his hat. Behind him, 2 officers. Not for me. He made that clear. His eyes weren't accusing. They were confirming. "We found something," he said. I didn't flinch. Just stepped aside and let him in. He sat at the dining table, placed a sealed file down. I didn't open it. He did. Chase's remains were found about 30 miles outside city limits, buried near an abandoned cabin. Anonymous tip. Said to check the well. He leaned forward, voice low. No prints. No murder weapon. But Vanessa's necklace was buried with him. Broken. Clasp snapped. I didn't say a word. "You didn't send that tip, did you?" he asked casually, watching me. I sipped my coffee. Do I look like the kind of guy who'd waste a good secret? He chuckled once. Guess not. He stood up. "Vanessa's been detained. Obstruction. Tampering with evidence." She lawyered up, but it's crumbling. "We've got messages, timelines, inconsistencies. If she keeps talking, she's going to implicate herself in more than just hiding a body." I walked him to the door. "She'll turn on Ethan next," I said. "She already has," Ramos replied. And just like that, the final domino tipped. Later that night, I got another voicemail. "Vanessa." Voice low, broken, distant. "They're saying I could go to prison. Ethan's not answering my calls. My lawyer says I should make a deal." "Is that what you wanted? To ruin me?" She paused, breathing shallow, like every word scraped her throat. "You always were patient. Too patient. I guess I should have known you were playing the long game." She hung up. I didn't reply, because the game was over. The next morning, my kids and I had breakfast in a sunlit kitchen. Pancakes. Laughter. Jason asked if we could go to the beach that weekend. Lily asked if we could get a dog. I said yes to both. We were rebuilding. Not from rubble, no. From the truth. And truth, unlike lies, doesn't rot. By Friday, Vanessa was officially charged with obstruction of justice and conspiracy to interfere in a homicide investigation. Ethan? He was suspended indefinitely and under federal review. Apparently, they found burner phones in his locker, maps, a journal with notes on Chase, Vanessa, and, most disturbing me, he was watching all of us, planning something bigger. Chase just got caught in the crossfire. Vanessa tried to make a deal, but the DA wasn't in a forgiving mood. Turns out, throwing your husband out while dragging your lover's luggage in, forging adoption papers, and then helping cover up a missing person doesn't win you much sympathy. Not even from a jury. But here's the part no one knew. The part I'll take to my grave. The tip about the cabin? That wasn't some good Samaritan. That was me. 3 weeks before all of this, Chase had come to me. Drunk. Paranoid. Shaking. Said Vanessa was losing it. Said she had lied to him too. About money. About her kids. About me. Told him I had been violent. That I'd hurt her. That I was unstable. He believed her at first. Then he didn't. And when he didn't, she turned on him too. He told me he wanted out. That he was scared. So I told him to come with me. We drove. And when we got to the cabin, I handed him a drink. He didn't wake up again. I didn't shoot him. Didn't stab him. Didn't lay a hand on him. I just let him talk himself into a grave. He confessed enough on that drive to bury them both. I recorded everything. And I left him there. Vanessa thought she had secrets. But I had patience. And patience, unlike revenge, doesn't leave fingerprints. So what did I learn? That love doesn't die. It gets buried under disrespect, one little betrayal at a time. And when the ground shakes hard enough, all those lies come crawling out, looking for light. My advice: don't waste your life trying to fix someone who enjoys breaking you. Walk away. But if they push you to war, finish it so completely, they forget how to start another one. I stood frozen by the doorway, holding her phone in my hand, screen still glowing. The group chat was open. Jason, we'll slip something in his drink. Then we take turns. Brittany, my wife, he won't even notice. He's too busy being boring. That moment shattered me. They weren't just sleeping together. They were planning to get rid of me at the company party. And she was leading it. But instead of losing my mind, I smiled. Because they thought I wouldn't do anything. But I did. And now, everything's burning. The morning after the party, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, her phone on the nightstand beside me like it was ticking with poison. Brittany snored next to me like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just agreed to let her coworkers mess around with her while they plotted to drug me. I replayed every moment from the night before. Every smirk. Every whisper. Every filthy message I found on her phone. Not just Jason, the arrogant one. There was also Mark, the married one with kids. Eric, who always acted nervous around me. All of them disgusting, all of them talking about my wife like she was some kind of party favor. And Brittany, the way she talked about me, like I was furniture, like I wasn't even human. I could have confronted her right then. Screamed. Demanded answers. But I didn't. Because I realized something. Yelling wouldn't give me peace. I didn't want closure. I wanted destruction. So I got up, took a shower, and drove straight to Caleb, a friend of mine from college who's now a private investigator. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I handed him her phone. Yes, I had backed it up and told him, I want everything. I want dates, names, locations, photos. I want to know every lie she's told, every place she's been when she said she was at the gym or getting coffee. He looked at me, raised an eyebrow, and said one thing. You sure you're ready for what I might find? No, I said, but I'm done pretending. While he got to work, I did too. I wasn't going to be the sad idiot crying in the kitchen while she snuck around. I logged into our shared accounts, credit cards, location history. I even checked our Ring camera footage. Dozens of little lies unraveled like cheap thread. She wasn't at yoga. She was in a hotel. She wasn't shopping. She was getting drinks with Jason. She said she worked late. Meanwhile, she was getting picked up by Eric 2 blocks from her office. She had built an entire world made of lies and cheap perfume. And I had been financing it. But here's the sickest part. She didn't even try to hide it well. Because she thought I was too weak, too soft to ever do something about it. That was her biggest mistake. I started making calls. I froze the joint account, just enough to not raise alarms but lock her access if I needed it fast. I met with a lawyer that afternoon. I didn't file anything yet. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. Not until I had all the pieces lined up. Later that evening, Brittany came home in yoga pants and a fake smile, tossed her gym bag on the floor, and kissed me like nothing was wrong. I'm starving. Want to order Thai? I looked at her for a long second. She noticed something. Something in my eyes. What? She asked, fake laughing. You look like you saw a ghost. I just smiled. Just tired. She shrugged and walked away. I stared at her back as she disappeared into the bedroom. I wondered how many men had watched her walk away like that, thinking she was theirs, thinking she was honest, thinking she was decent. But I knew better now. She wasn't a mistake. She was a warning. And I was done being the victim of her game. The next few days were a performance. I played the role of the perfect husband, smiling, cooking dinner, laughing at her stupid reality shows. But inside, I was ice. Every word she said felt like poison sliding off her tongue. And she had no idea I was already setting her entire world on fire. The private investigator, Caleb, started sending me daily reports. Photos of her getting into Jason's car. Audio recordings of conversations at restaurants. One, in particular, made my blood boil. They were in some dim bar, giggling like high schoolers. Jason, you think he suspects anything? Brittany, he's too much of a doormat to even notice. I could probably bring you home and tell him you're the plumber. Jason, or the pool boy. Brittany, or both. And they laughed. She laughed. That laugh used to mean something to me. Now it made me sick. But instead of exploding, I started planting seeds. I asked her casual questions, seemingly innocent. How's Jason doing? Haven't seen him around lately. She blinked. Jason? I don't know. Office stuff. Smooth. But not good enough. She started getting sloppy. Maybe she felt too safe. Maybe she thought I'd never grow a backbone. One night, she left her laptop open while she showered. I opened her mail app. She was logged into her burner account. That's where the real filth lived. Explicit messages. Plans. A spreadsheet, believe it or not, with code names for each guy. Jason was Alpha, Eric was Lunch Break, and Mark? Mark was Dad Mode. I wasn't even Beta. I wasn't even on the damn list. She used me. My house. My money. My loyalty. That night, I couldn't sleep. I watched her as she slept beside me, mouth slightly open, like a peaceful angel. But I knew she was a devil in disguise. I started imagining the confrontation. Would she scream? Would she cry? Would she beg? No. She'd lie. That's what snakes do when cornered. They hiss, they twist, they blame you. I was ready for it. The next morning, I took off work. Brittany thought I was at a conference, but I spent the day preparing, printing documents, transferring money to an untouchable account, setting up a private meeting with her boss. I had video of her sneaking into his car and kissing him in the parking lot. And here's the twist. I didn't just want revenge. I wanted to erase her. Strip her down to the nothing she made of me. That evening, she came home late. She had makeup on, but not the kind she wears for yoga. She was glowing, lips smudged slightly. She walked in like she owned the place. "You're home early," she said. "Yeah. Canceled the trip. Wasn't worth it." She flinched, just a little. I walked past her into the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and slid an envelope across the counter. "What's this?" she asked. "Something you'll want to read before our little dinner tomorrow night." She narrowed her eyes. "What dinner?" "Just you, me, and Jason." I figured it's time we all got on the same page. Her face turned white. I'd never seen her scared before. And I wasn't finished yet. Because what she didn't know was that Jason's wife, yes, the one she forgot existed, had also received a little package from me. And so had HR. This wasn't just a breakup. This was checkmate. She didn't sleep that night. I lay beside her. I shut, listening to her breathing. Uneven. Nervous. Every few minutes, she'd toss, turn, sigh loudly, like some kind of victim. She had read the envelope. Inside were photos of her and Jason kissing outside the office, screenshots of messages, and a single line in bold text. "Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Don't be late." She didn't ask me about it. She didn't say a word. Because deep down, she knew what was coming. And I made sure to make it a night she'd never forget. The next evening, I set the table. Candles, wine, plates, the whole deal. You'd think it was an anniversary dinner if you walked in. But instead of roses, the centerpiece was a USB drive and 2 sealed envelopes, one with Jason's name, one with Brittany's. At 6:55 p.m., Brittany appeared in a black dress and heels, eyes red but mascara on point. She tried her usual act, trying to look calm, seductive, composed. She failed. At 7:03 p.m., the doorbell rang. Jason stepped in confused. "Hey, what's going on?" I smiled and gestured to the table. "Have a seat. Both of you." They sat like obedient little liars, side by side. My wife's hand trembled slightly. Jason gave her a quick glance but didn't say anything. I poured them both a glass of wine, then pushed the envelopes toward them. "These are for you. You can open them now or wait until I finish talking. Either way, tonight's the last night we all pretend." Jason opened his first. I watched as his eyes flicked across the contents, printouts of his messages with Brittany, photos from the private investigator, and a copy of the HR complaint with his name on it. His throat clicked as he swallowed. Brittany didn't open hers. She was shaking now. "I know everything," I said quietly. "The hotel rooms. The parking lot hookups. The disgusting messages. And not just with Jason. You've been busy." She opened her mouth to speak. "No," I cut her off. "Don't insult us all with excuses. You didn't slip up once. You built an entire double life. You chose this." Jason tried to stand. "Look, man, I didn't mean to." "Sit," I snapped. He sat. Then I pulled out my phone and pressed play. It was a voice recording. Brittany's voice from that sleazy bar. "He's clueless. I could bring any guy home and tell him he's the plumber. He'd probably make him dinner." Jason snorted under his breath. "Big mistake." I turned to him. "Your wife got that same file this morning. Every single thing. She's probably packing your stuff right now." He froze. "And Brittany?" She cracked. Her calm mask shattered into rage. "You set this up? You pathetic little weasel. You go digging through my stuff, spying on me like a creep." "No," I said. I woke up. She stood, grabbed her wine glass, and threw it against the wall. "You think this makes you powerful? You think you've won?" I didn't even flinch. I stood too slow and calm. "You're going to pack your things. Tonight. You'll leave the house. It's in my name, and the lawyer's already filed for divorce. You'll get nothing." She tried to laugh, but failed. "You can't just erase me like that." "You already erased yourself," I said. "I'm just taking back what's mine." Jason stood and stormed out without a word. Brittany followed, slamming the door behind her. I stood alone in the kitchen, the broken wine glass still dripping red down the wall. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt peace. But it wasn't over. Because revenge this clean was only the beginning. The door had barely slammed behind her when silence flooded the house like a tidal wave. No more fake laughs echoing down the hallway. No more lies whispered into phones she thought I couldn't hear. Just stillness, and the scent of expensive perfume lingering like a ghost that refused to leave. I didn't move for a while. I stood there, watching the wine drip down the wall, trailing red streaks across the white paint like blood. The glass shards sparkled under the chandelier. Fitting. That's exactly what she did to us, shattered everything and walked away in heels like it was nothing. But the real beauty? That wasn't even the punchline. 2 days later, Jason was fired. Apparently, the HR department took workplace affairs and abuse of power very seriously, especially when married managers slept with subordinates in the office, in cars, and on company time. His wife had gone nuclear. She filed for divorce, took the kids, the car, and froze his accounts. He tried calling me once. I didn't answer. He could rot. As for Brittany, she didn't just lose me. She lost everything. Her stuff was dumped at her sister's place in trash bags. I'd changed the locks, killed her credit cards, and sent her a clean-cut divorce agreement. No alimony, no assets, no pity. Just signatures. She called, of course, 23 times. Left voicemails, texts, emails. At first, it was fury. You manipulative freak. You had no right. Then came the denial. You're overreacting. It was never serious. Eventually, the desperation. Please talk to me. I messed up. We can fix this. You're still my husband. That one made me laugh out loud. No, Brittany. I was your safety net. Your backup plan. The guy you kept around so your life wouldn't collapse while you played trashy little games with men who called you Alpha's toy. You don't come back from that. But still, there was a part of me, buried deep, that wanted to ask, why? Why did you do this? Why throw away everything for a bunch of guys who saw you as nothing more than entertainment? That answer never came. Instead, I got a letter in the mail. A real one. Handwritten. In it, she blamed her childhood, her stress, her mental health. She cried on the page, said she was lost, that I had changed, that I made her feel unloved. Classic. But here's the truth no cheater ever wants to admit. She didn't cheat because she was broken. She cheated because she could. Because she thought I wouldn't do anything. Because she mistook kindness for weakness. Loyalty for blindness. She thought I'd forgive her. Instead, I erased her. And that decision? That was the first one I made purely for me. No guilt. No second guessing. Just clean, sharp clarity. I started rebuilding quietly. Sold our house. Moved to a new apartment downtown. Switched my number. Took a few weeks off work. Started lifting again. Eating right. Sleeping without nightmares. Laughing for real. One evening, I sat at a rooftop bar, drink in hand, city lights glowing below. A woman next to me smiled, made small talk. She didn't know my name, didn't know my story, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel broken or bitter. I just felt free. But deep down, I still kept a piece of that fire. Not anger, not hate, just memory. Because some betrayals don't fade. They sharpen you, harden you, remind you that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself. And now, I'll never lose myself again. A month passed. Then 2. And just when I thought Brittany had vanished for good, she returned, like a cockroach that survives a nuclear blast, only weaker, quieter, and surprisingly, scared. It started with a knock on my new apartment door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, there she was. No makeup, puffy eyes, hoodie hanging off one shoulder like it didn't belong to her. And for the first time since I'd known her, Brittany looked small. I didn't say a word, just stared. She swallowed, stepped forward, then hesitated like the threshold might burn her. I needed to talk. Please. Make it fast. Her eyes welled up. I messed everything up. I know I hurt you. I don't even expect you to forgive me. You need something. I cut her off. She froze. Rent money? A place to stay? Jason kicked you out? Mark ghosted you? What is it, Brittany? What brings the queen of manipulation back to the doormat? That hit her. She blinked hard. I don't want anything from you, she whispered. I don't know who I am anymore. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. You are exactly who you've always been, I said. You just ran out of people dumb enough to believe the act. She tried to step in, but I blocked the doorway. This is not your home. You burned that bridge. Torched it. Then spit on the ashes. Her voice broke. You were the only person who ever really loved me. No, I said. I was the only person who loved the version of you you pretended to be. That person doesn't exist. She dropped her head. I'm getting help. Therapy. I'm trying to change. I gave her nothing. Just silence. And then she pulled out her trump card. I might be pregnant. Silence again. But this time it hit differently. I stared at her. Heart. You might be. I said. What does that mean? You don't know who the father is. She looked away. No answer. That was the answer. I let the silence stretch. Let her feel every ounce of the weight she put on me. Then I stepped back, slowly closed the door, and said, not my problem anymore. Click. The sound of that door locking behind her was the most satisfying thing I'd heard in weeks. The next few days, she spanned my phone. Photos of a pregnancy test. Crying voice notes. Apologies written like poetry. All deleted. I blocked her. I blocked her sister. I blocked her friends. But I wasn't done. I had one final card to play. See, the HR file I gave Jason's wife? She'd handed it off to her lawyer. And from what I heard, that lawyer had connections in the press. Rumors were starting to circulate at Brittany's workplace. Not just about the affair, but about the group chat, the plumber comments, the party plans. The same colleagues who once laughed with her behind my back? Now they wouldn't even look her in the eye. The same men who flirted and schemed? Now they whispered, avoided, and distanced themselves like she was toxic waste. Karma didn't just catch up, it lapped her. And me? I watched from a distance. I didn't need to do anything anymore. Her world was collapsing all on its own. All I had to do was smile and move on. Because the best revenge isn't anger. It's becoming untouchable. It was almost poetic. Brittany, once the center of every room, now stood alone. She'd gone from gossiping over cocktails to whispers behind her back. Her name didn't command attention anymore. It triggered eye rolls and awkward silence. The same people who once encouraged her reckless games now treated her like a virus. The fallout wasn't just professional. It was social. Her so-called friends, Lisa, Jenna, Kelsey, quietly unfollowed her, one by one. Group chats dried up. Invitations stopped. No more spa weekends. No more bottomless brunches. It turns out, no one wants to be associated with the woman who tried to seduce half her office while plotting to sabotage her husband. I didn't even need to lift a finger. She ruined herself. Still, that didn't mean I was done healing. There were nights I'd wake up, fist clenched, heart racing, hearing phantom laughter, hers, Jason's. Flashbacks would hit me at the worst times. I'd be at the gym, halfway through a set, and suddenly I'd hear her saying, "You're too boring to notice anything." That line stuck with me like a splinter under the skin. But pain? It's a strange kind of fuel. I started therapy not because I was broken, but because I refused to let her keep living rent-free in my head. My therapist, a no-nonsense woman named Carla, didn't coddle me. She pushed me, challenged me, forced me to face truths I didn't want to say out loud. You didn't lose her, she told me once. You lost the illusion. That's not tragedy, it's liberation. She was right. Because what I had with Brittany wasn't love. It was an addiction to the idea of love. I thought I had a partner. Instead, I had a parasite. And when the illusion shattered, I didn't fall apart. I rebuilt. Stronger. Sharper. Smarter. I reconnected with old friends. Got back into photography, something I'd given up years ago. I started spending weekends outside, hiking, road trips, taking shots of mountain sunrises and quiet lakes instead of wondering if she was lying again. My camera didn't cheat. My camera didn't gaslight me. Then, one afternoon, as I was walking through a local art fair, I saw her. Brittany. Alone. Pale. Smaller somehow. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her hair looked unwashed. She held a paper cup of coffee like it was the last thing anchoring her to the world. She saw me. Our eyes met. She opened her mouth to speak. Maybe to apologize. Maybe to beg. Maybe to spin one last story. But I just smiled, nodded once, polite, emotionless, and walked past her without slowing down. Because I didn't need to hear anything else. I didn't need an explanation, or an apology, or some twisted sob story. I didn't need her anymore. That moment wasn't explosive. It wasn't dramatic. It was closure. Clean. Final. Quiet. Later that night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized something. It's not the betrayal that breaks you. It's believing someone like that ever deserved your trust in the first place. But now, I trust myself. And that's something she can never take away again. Months passed. Life moved on, without her, without the weight of her lies clinging to my every step. My apartment didn't just look different, it felt different. Peaceful. Clean. Every trace of Brittany had been erased. No more framed photos of fake smiles. No more perfume-scented traps. No more faked excuses when she came home late, full of half-eaten truths and lipstick she never wore for me. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was comforting. And then, one day, I received a letter from her lawyer. She was contesting the divorce terms. I laughed. I wasn't surprised. That's the thing with people like Brittany. They never think consequences apply to them. They lie, cheat, manipulate, and when it finally catches up, they scream unfair. She wanted alimony now. Claimed she sacrificed for the marriage. That she gave up years of her life for me. My lawyer chuckled as he read through her claims. She's got some nerve, he said. This is going to court. Good. I wanted it public. I wanted her to sit there, in front of a judge, and explain how she deserved anything after treating our marriage like a side hustle. I wanted her to feel that moment when the truth was no longer in her control, when lies couldn't save her anymore. Court day arrived. She wore white. Of course, she did. Trying to look like the victim, the innocent one. She didn't make eye contact with me. Her lawyer did all the talking. Spoke of her emotional distress, her mistakes, her desire for healing. My turn came. I didn't yell. I didn't get emotional. I let the facts speak. Messages. Photos. Voice recordings. The affair spreadsheet. The group chat where she laughed about drugging me. The judge didn't say much, but his face said everything. Verdict. Divorce finalized. No alimony. Restraining order granted. Brittany ordered to pay a portion of legal fees. She didn't cry. She didn't throw a fit. She just sat there, still and hollow, as if all the power had been drained from her. I walked out of that courtroom with my head high, not just because I won, but because I earned that victory. I didn't scream or stoop to her level. I outplayed her, outclassed her, outlasted her. And then she disappeared again. No more letters. No more texts. Just silence. I'd hear whispers now and then how she moved back in with her mother. How she tried to get a job but couldn't pass the background checks thanks to the HR mess. How her reputation followed her like a shadow she couldn't outrun. But I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Her life became the punishment she built with her own hands. Meanwhile, I kept growing. I started dating again slowly. Carefully. I wasn't bitter. Just wiser. I didn't chase the excitement, the adrenaline, the spark that blinds you. I looked for depth, honesty, substance, and eventually I found someone who didn't play games. Someone who didn't flinch at the truth. One night, over dinner, she asked, "Do you regret it? Any of it?" I thought about that. No, I said. I regret wasting time on the wrong person. But I don't regret surviving her. I don't regret waking up. I needed to go through hell to remember who I really am. Because in the end, Brittany taught me the most important lesson of all. Trust is earned. Love is sacred. And if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. This wasn't just the end of our story. It was the beginning of mine.